Good morning, everybody. This is Judith A. Cope. You're listening to Mad Love. Let's get into it. So many thoughts. I'm still pretty annoyed that Thomas Massey lost, or they told us that he lost, because I'm still not sure he actually did lose. Just like I'm not so sure that Trump actually won the election. And unlike him, it's not because I'm bitter or whatever. It's just Elon Musk said, if they ever investigate this election, I'm going to jail. Now, no one jokes like that. You know, that's not what you call a ha-ha, a funny. Like, that's clearly an admission of guilt. And I can tell you from working in a prosecutor's office and working on video, if there were a case to be built against him, that would be used against him. And I'd be the one to edit it and put it together so the jury could see it. Now, the prosecutor would have to find a way to get it admitted, but, I would have it ready to be queued up. That's crazy. So I'm not sure what's going on. I don't even know if Biden actually won. I don't know if anybody they've told us has won an election actually won it. Because when I think back to 2016, and listen, all the stuff I've heard about Hillary Clinton at this point, she's not an appealing candidate. I found her to be polarizing back then. But the polling had her winning by a landslide. And then here comes Trump. And it just did not make any sense. I remember my mom, she had dementia. Going back to that time, I think it started about 2017, and then by 2020, she was very clear that she was going to vote for Biden. She wanted Biden. She thought he was the strongest candidate. And I remember one day we were talking, and I was like, yeah, and Donald Trump's president, and she was like, really? Like, in her mind, her addled mind couldn't take him seriously. I'm saying I don't understand what's been going on. Like the way the Democrats did Bernie, and I felt the burn. I liked some of what he said. I didn't like all of it. Some of it sounded preposterous, but I did like his energy and what he was saying. And I thought, I know a lot of people who voted for him in the primary, and somehow he miraculously didn't win. And he had real momentum. But the party wanted Hillary. And I think they wanted Hillary before Obama, because I actually had a friend of mine said, well, why can't he wait his turn? I was like, fuck that. Why does he have to wait? If she can't secure the nomination, that's on her. And I remember watching that Democratic convention where Obama comes out and, because Hillary had tried everything. She had cried. She just wasn't endearing everybody. But at that Democratic convention, when Obama came out to wave to the crowd with her, that was huge. That was triumphant. And I remember feeling very proud. Now, of course, I have different feelings about both of them as humans. And Obama, of course, was one of the worst presidents in terms of a lot of things. But he bombed more people than anybody. And especially brown people. And I just heard this morning on a podcast that it was Obama who decided to sell one of our biggest food manufacturers to China. I want to say Smithfield, because this black farmer was like, you all are panicking about the wrong stuff. It's not Chinese people. The Chinese are not buying up all this farmland. It's just a myth. They're trying to keep you from focusing on the fact that they bought one of our biggest food suppliers. And I was like, oh, well, that is scarier. If you're prone to believe China's scary. I mean, America trusts them so much, but they don't. It's very weird. I don't understand the government's relationship with China. You want them to build all of our shit, but you don't really want people to actually openly like China. It's weird. Why aren't their cars here? Because they're superior. Their cars are better. You watch these videos on their electric cars and you think, oh, okay, this makes sense. Because it can do so much. and it can charge fast, and it can go much faster than whatever it is we're putting on the street. And I still don't believe in electric cars, but I saw a hybrid this morning that made sense, and it was Chinese, and you can't get it here. You can't even whiff it. You can't even. You can buy it in Canada. So when I move to Canada, maybe I'll be able to drive a Chinese car. I don't know, but I just don't understand the United States. The hypocrisy is stifling. And so, yeah, this Thomas Massey thing is huge. I also heard on a podcast that Mossad's number one target is Tucker Carlson because he just has too much power and he's just talking too much about Israel. But say what you want. You can try to take Tucker out, but it's too many people now who know the secret. It's too many people out here now who need American resources, and we're not getting them because they're going out of the country at an alarming rate. And I'm not trying to invoke anything. I'm not trying to incite anybody, but people are going to get desperate, and they're going to do desperate things if something doesn't suddenly change in the people's favor. And I know people, I recognize patterns. You don't have to be a genius to see what I think could happen if things don't turn around immediately. You got people being choked out, and yes, I get it. Folks voted for Trump. They were thinking he was something that he's not. He clearly sold them out too. He was horrible in his first term to me, but this one, he's off the rails. I mean, it very much feels like he can see that this shit is about to implode, and he's trying to pad him and his friends' pockets as much as possible before it all collapses. And if he has to, gargle Israel's testicles, he's willing to do that, obviously. So you got us sending all this money to Ukraine, you got us sending all this money to Israel, and you wonder why there's no help for you when your mother or grandmother or father or sibling needs long-term care and there are absolutely no resources available to help you. Yeah, you can apply for some grants, and yeah, you may be able to get into a program or two, but the numbers are staggering at how much this shit costs and how unprepared and underinformed most Americans are about that. And that is the sole reason why I do Refuel. I want you to understand what the beginning of long-term care looks like. If you're inclined to be a helper, what that looks like. If you're inclined to take on the finances of it, what that looks like. Later stages of the disease, what that looks like. And the transition, what that looks like. And the amount of paperwork that comes along with all of that. And that's why there's askrefuel.com. I think that's what I chose. Yes, askrefuel.com. And that's why I do the newsletter. Refuel by Faith and Gasoline at beehive.com. BEEHIIV. I'll put links in the description. I'm passionate about this. I've lived it. I have been up in the middle of the night looking for answers, not finding any answers. I have had people offer for books for me to read and places to visit and phone numbers to call. But when you're really caregiving, that's not fucking acceptable. I don't want to have to call all these people. And not one place does everything you need. You're going to be, and you're at the mercy of your state and what they've done with Medicaid and how hard it is to get. People are going to blame Trump for making Medicaid hard to get. And yeah, but it was hard to get before him, especially if you live in a red state and they're like, yeah, you should have been saving money for this. Or they have this antiquated, because these boomers, they have this antiquated belief, well, you'll just sell your house, your mom and dad's house, and they'll make so much money. And, they're just completely forgetting that everybody's not living in a $600,000, $700,000 house, A. And B, even if you are, why would you want to give all that to healthcare? People are not going to have the generational wealth transfer that they keep telling you about. Because I had a neighbor, his wife got kicked out of one expensive facility, and he had to pick another one because she stopped walking, and he was spending $15,000 a month on her care. And I asked him, I was like, dude, what did you do for a living? Well, apparently he worked in IT for hospitals before they called it that. And so he had a great career. And he said, I have the money, Judy. I feel bad because it's less money than that money's being taken away from my son and my grandson. And I said, that's true. If you spend 200 grand on care, that's not 200 grand going to your inheritance or what you plan to leave to your kids. And I don't think people understand what a crisis this is. Try to get an appointment with an elder care attorney. You'll see. Try to get an appointment with a neurologist, a good one. Now, if you can get in easy, they probably don't have good reviews. But if you look up a neurologist that has 5 stars and people like them, and then you will have to wait. The last time I looked, it was like almost a year to get in. And that was 2 or 3 years ago. So, yeah, that's why I'm passionate about this. I'm not blowing smoke. I'm not just trying to get people to buy products with my name on them. I'm trying to legitimately warn people, you're not ready. And I am a highly effective, efficient person. And there were days that I was overwhelmed because you're trying to figure out what's available to you and trying to do the care at the same time. And this person may be punching you. This person may be cussing you out. This person may be going around the house and turning on all the lights, unlocking the doors. That was a big thing with my mom. She wanted to unlock all the doors because she didn't like the way the locks turned. So in her mind, that it should be the opposite. So then you wake up and the shit's unlocked. You've been sleeping in an unlocked condo, lights on everywhere, just all kinds of shit. Going in her room, rooting around in her closet all night instead of sleeping. And you're supposed to wake up and go to work and then call a group to get some support. Like, who has fucking time for that? Anyway, you don't have to do all that. You can join a group if you want, but Refuel is out there and we are providing resources for you because I know that you will need them. If you're the person that's the caregiver, if you're the sibling or the sister or the whatever that tends to be the one to take care of folks, I got you because I know what you need. And people are going to tell you all kinds of crazy shit. And you're going to have these bizarre conversations with social workers. And basically they're going to tell you they got nothing for you. That was a big one. When I finally took my mom to the hospital, because everybody kept saying, well, if you just take her to the hospital, then it'll start this chain reaction, which was, I guess that's what they did in the past. But I took my mom to the hospital and I had to beg to see the social worker. She didn't even want to talk to me. And then she was like, oh, well, medically, there's nothing wrong with your mom. So we're just going to send her home. We kept her for observation. You're right. She didn't sleep. She was up for almost 48 hours. Okay, motherfucker. Well, that's why I brought her here. I know she's not sleeping. And then they released her with some drug that didn't half work. I forget the name of it now, but they were like, well, we'll give her this and this might help her sleep. And I gave it to her for a while. Then because her favorite doctor left his practice, I took her to my doctor, who turned out to be the biggest ass in the world. And he was like, well, she needs to stop taking that. And she needs to go see a neurologist. I'm not going to do anything until... And I was like, I'm not starting over from scratch because your fucking ass doesn't want to deal with it. I'm very profane this morning. I'm sorry, but this really makes you angry because you are trying to coordinate all of this and get the best care for your loved one. And the system is out here fucking you in the ass. Which, again, I am sorry for being so crass, but that's exactly what it felt like. It's like the doctors don't want to help you. The hospitals don't want to help you. Nobody was caring or compassionate within the healthcare system. And the nurses are great because they're all like, sorry, we can't really do anything. I did not get any help from my mom until she fell on her head and had internal brain bleeding. And they kept her in the hospital for that. And when they released her, I got her into hospice. And they were looking at me like, you want to go into hospice. I was like, I'm not naive about what's happening with her. She's not going to get better. That had been like her third fall within like 2 or 3 months. So I knew something was happening. And I called my sister from the ER and I was like, they are thinking about doing brain surgery on her. And I know I'm not going to do that. I met with the neurosurgeon and everything. I was like, I know I'm not doing that. And my sister agreed. And I was like, I think I want to do the hospice thing. And many of them were like, really? And I was like, yes. And then they were like, oh, yes, I'm going to let her die because she's dying. And if you knew her, you know that if she had her senses about her, she would have been walking into traffic trying to kill herself, because this is not what she would have wanted. And it took all year. I mean, we got into hospice January of 2025 and it took all year. 2024. And she died in December of 2024. But she did come back enough to say goodbye. She had more of her senses towards the end there. The last 4 or 5 months, she wasn't quite as violent. She remembered things. She remembered when she hadn't seen me. And she was thoughtful enough to say goodbye. Because she told me, she was in December. We had just had a great day. And she told me, she was like, I'm leaving you now. I'm going to be leaving. And I was like, oh, no. And I was being cute. Because I used to sit by her bedside and try to stave off that sundowners however I could. And I'd be like, oh, don't leave me, please. And I was being funny. She was like, oh, no, I'm leaving, but I'm going to miss you, though. And I mean, literally, like 2 days later, she was screaming in pain and we had to start the morphine. And I almost forgot that. But I was like, oh, she did say goodbye. And if you know my mom, that's a big deal. Like, she was like, I'm going to miss you, though. Which made me think, oh, she hung around that long just to be with me, to hang out. And, God, I didn't expect to talk about this, and I really didn't expect to get choked up, but that's why Refuel exists. And these are big, important topics and big conversations. And I've known 2 people in the last probably 3 weeks to a month that have lost their moms kind of suddenly. Like, their moms were having health difficulties, but they weren't expecting them to die. And they did. And so, yeah, that's what happens. People die, and you have to be prepared for it in as much as you can. And that's what I'm out here trying to do. Again, I did not expect to talk about this. In fact, I wanted to talk about how I think Drake and Mariah Carey are suffering from the same problem, which is they're not as famous as they used to be and they just can't handle it. So I'm going to give that topic its worth and its time. And I'm not going to tack it onto the end of this podcast. But yeah, you know, this is serious and we are in a crisis. The healthcare system is a disaster. It has very little health and very little care in it. And it just troubles me that so many people have no idea how bad it is right now. Because you've got 55 to 60 million unpaid caregivers. Unpaid. And that number's only going to get worse. And it's going to be devastating. Because guess what? A lot of those people are working full time, and you will not realize how ganky your boss is and your work situation is until you have to take time to take care of a loved one. I was fortunate. My boss hated my guts. COVID was a thing, and we were able to stay out of the office for a while. When we came back, there was a COVID schedule. I just kept my COVID schedule basically until, you know, I was pretty much fucked with enough to want to leave the office, because it's like, you all know what I've been through. And now, you know, now that my mom has passed, now you want to fuck with me. You know, fuck you. And you're going to see, because you're going to want to take your parent to the doctor. You're going to want to, you know, be up with them all night when they're not sleeping. And then you got to take care of them. Then you got to clean them. And then you got to do all this stuff. And then Go to work, and you're going to see where you work, because these motherfuckers just want to see you sitting at a desk typing or whatever it is you do. They are not interested in you and your personal problems. And I'm beginning to think, because we have such a vacuum of leadership, that's part of it, is because they just want to control you. They don't give a shit what's going on in your life. And they all equate it to childcare. Well, just find a babysitter. It's not childcare. It's not childcare. It's taking care of a grown-ass person who needs long-term care. And I need my job so I can help pay for our life. And this person is getting a limited amount of income. I have to make money. You'll see. Many people are about to curse their bosses out, because you're going to think, well, they were so nice. Yeah, they were so nice while you were sitting there being subservient. But when you actually need flexibility and time to take care of your family, your real family, you'll see. You're going to be like, damn, these motherfuckers got no empathy. And that's why I'm encouraging you to start your own businesses. That's why I'm always saying, hey, there's something you do that no one else can do, and they will pay you money to do it. And you'll get flexibility, and you'll be able to live your life. Because I'm telling you right now from firsthand experience, these people they've been smiling and grinning in your face. But when you start to actually need resources at your job, and you need flexibility, and you need grace, and you've been working your ass off, they will look at you and be like, yeah, we don't do that. You need to be here from 8:30 to 5, and you get your lunch hour. Okay. Goodbye, motherfucker. I came in hot this morning, and I didn't intend to. But that's the beauty of mad love, right? There are things that make me very mad. I'm very passionate. But it's all love, because I want you to win, and I don't want you to fall into the traps that I fell into. Be aware, because I'm telling you, you're really going to be shocked. And again, I'm not trying to invoke or incite, but you think the United Healthcare CEO thing was shocking. Just wait, because people are getting pushed to their limits, and nothing good happens in the short term, but everything great happens when people have finally had enough. And that's where we're going. We're headed towards people have just had enough. So buckle up. Have an amazing May 21st. If you've got goals and dreams and things you wanted to get done, check out my new app. It's called dailydrill.io. It's all about being effective, getting your goals done. A lot of the things that you wanted to accomplish, you're not a bad person that you didn't get it done. You just haven't been holding yourself accountable. And this is designed to help with that. Cool. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day. Bye.